Hi everyone, so welcome to another tutorial. Today's tutorial will be making this beautiful dress. How to make this beautiful dress I'm wearing with a what? With a front pocket, two front pockets. You can see. So we have we use the two different ankara to make this. You can check the color. This is a different. This is another ankara, and this is another ankara, making two ankaras that we used. So if you want to learn how to make this beautiful dress I'm wearing, you can see. So stay right back, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So see you. Welcome to class. So I'll be using two different ankaras. The first one is 1 yard, while this one is 2 yards. So I'm trying to fold the ankara into four. I folded it into four. So I'll be leaving 2.5 inches for the button allowance at the front. So the front will be down while the back will be up. So I'm trying to lay down the ankara, just trying to make sure it is well laid on the table. So just trying to adjust it. Now I'm going to make a margin, and that will be my starting point. So that will be my starting point. Mark 8 inches as my shoulder. So I'll mark my chest line 8 inches, my bust 10, my half length. So after you now count 8 is a standard. Count 8 down to your, so that will be your hip. Then your desired length you want the gown to be. So I'm using 40. I'm going to also mark it at the other end. Try to make it, so that's what I'm trying to do now. Mark it at the other end, then you connect. So I'm trying to connect the lines I've marked. I'm trying to connect it. So just make sure that the lines are straight. So when marking, make sure the lines are straight. So I'll also mark my shoulder. I mark my shoulder at my chest line too. Then I'll make a line. So I'll also make 1 inch, which will be my shoulder slope. So I'm using 1 inch for the back and 3 inches for the front. So my neckline 3 by 3, and for the back is 1. So I have 7 left. I'll divide it into 2. That is 3.5. So I'll go in by half. That's what I'm doing there. Then I'll mark my armhole. My bust is 9, so I'm going to add half an inch to it. You can make yours 1. So then my seam allowance, extra 2 inches for seam allowance. So you're going to be marking your 9.5, and that is where your armhole is going to stop. So that's what I have done there. So my waist is 9, my waist is 8, sorry, and I'll also be adding half inch to it, making it 1/2. So then extra 2 inches, that'll be my waist. So my hip, that'll be 10.5, then extra 2 inches for it. So take your pattern master and mark. You can see the side I'm using to make it comfy. So I have 13 inches at my hip. I also mark 13 inches down there. Then I'll make a straight line. So I'm trying to make a straight line, and after that I'll make my neckline. You can see, and also make for the back too, for the neckline. And after that I'm trying to indicate it at the front. What is done is the front. You can see I'm trying to cuff it so that it will show, because I'll be cutting the neckline separately. So after that I will add half an inch for the shoulder allowance. So to join our shoulders, I'll be joining with half. So I've marked it, and so what is now left is just to cut the fabric, and that is what I'm doing. I'm trying to cuff it. You can see I'm trying to cut. Just when you're cutting, just be careful. So I'm cutting it out to your desired length. As you can see, I'm trying to cut it out. So after cutting it, I've cut out the shoulder too. Don't cut out your shoulder allowance you added to it for joining. So I've cut out the back, so I'll now cut the front separately, but I won't be cutting it enough. So you can see just to know where to be folding in, so that you not fold more than the required thing. So that's why I'm leaving that aside. So that's the one at the down is the front, while the one I've taken out the back out of it. So I want to give it a style, like a shape. So I'll be using another, what I'm doing, I'm just trying to mark the 2.5 down, so you can use your iron to mark it, to iron it out. But I'm firstly using a chalk, so you won't fold more than the amount you left. So I'll take one fabric out, and I'm trying to mark, you can see I'm trying to mark it out. So don't forget you added 2 inches for seam allowance, and you try to mark, yes, you're trying to mark out the 2 inches before cuffing. So if you're not good with sewing a coffee edge, a coffee material, just try to make yours straight. So you can see I'm using a free hand to cuff it out. So after cuffing it out, don't forget I'm only making it for one side, so I take out the other side and I'll cut it out. So that's what I'm doing here. I will cut it out. So cut it out. If you're not too good with a coffee, just make yours straight instead of making it coffee. So if you find it difficult in sewing a coffee, so I'm going to take it out. I'll take the other Ankara too and cut the shape I cut out. I'm going to cut it here. Mind you, I'll be including 1 inch allowance to it. So I'll be adding 1 inch to it, because if you use the exact thing, it will not be enough. You will have a shortage fabric since you'll still be joining. So I added 1 inch. I'll mark 1 inch round. So if yours is also straight, you also make it 1 inch. So any shape you want to give it to, just make sure you return the 1 inch to it when sewing. So I'm trying to cuff it out. So this is it. I'm trying to cuff it out, and you remove the excesses at the down part. So this is it. So what I've cut out now, I'm going to add it to it. You can see, just try to sew on it. You can still sew after you join it. You can still sew on it. If yours is straight, just join anyhow you want it, any shape you want. You can just give it any shape of your style. Just be creative with it. So what I will do now is just join. I'll sew that, and I'll join the shoulders. I'll join the shoulders and the side. See, I folded one part in, you can see. So you can, I'm showing you how to fold. I folded mine in. I've done one part of it. I'm showing the other part. So this is how you're going to do it. And you can also fold yours out like this. You can see the way I folded and sew on it. But what I did is I did mine in. So I sewed mine in, then you sew on it. And after sewing on it, this is what we have. So what we have now is just to get our collar. To get our collar, we're going to fold it into two. So firstly, I'm marking out the back. So I'm trying to measure what we have at the back. We have 3.5 for the back. Then the front, I'm trying to measure the front. So 3.5 for the front, for the back, and 5.5 for the front. So that's what I'm trying to, that's what I put down on the paper. So you first make a starting point, and that's what I've done. 3.5 for the front. For the back, you mark it out. Then 5.5 for the front. I will also include 1/2 inch to it, making 6 for sewing allowance. So for the side, so this is 5.5. I also include 1, making 6. So I'm marking out the 6 inches out. So the width I'll be using is 5 inches. So I'm also trying to mark out to 5 inches. That's what I'm doing. Then you take your ruler and mark it straight. So you also mark out our 3.5 inches for the back. Then we join. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Mark out the 3.5. All we have here is 6. Then you mark out the 6 too. Then you join the lines, so you won't have to make any mistake or adding any extra to it. So after that, I'll be marking 2 inches down. So you mark the 2 inches this way. After marking the 2 inches, I'm also trying to, this is just to indicate the back from the front. So after marking 2 inches, I will go up by 0.75. Then you mark our 2 inches again. But what I did there was 2.5. It was a mistake. I should have used 2. It is 2.5 that I have. I'm going to correct myself in the video. So 2.5. So after making the 2.5, making 2.5 inches, you can see I'm trying to make it 2.5. Yeah, it should be 2.5, not, it should be 2, sorry, not 2.5. So I've taken out the half. So the collar at the down should be 2 inches, and this is it. You join it like that. So after that, you make it coffee. You just cough it out. So the 0.7 you had it down, you had it to the up. Just make sure the width is this 0.75. So you go in by 1 inch, then you mark it to that edge. You can see you mark it to that edge, and also I'll be taking up 0.75 in that side, so then I'll mark it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to mark it. You can see that I have marked it here. So the next thing to do is just to cut it out. You're going to take a scissors and cut it out, and that is what I'm trying to do here, as you can see. And when you're cutting, please be very careful when you're cutting. So that is what I'm trying to do. So I'm being patiently cutting this out, you can see. So just be careful. So you also have to add like 0.25 for sewing allowance if you're cutting. So that will be the what you're going to sew in, the allowance you added to it if you're sewing. And that is what I'm doing here. Just be very careful when cutting it out. So that is it. That's what I'm trying to see. So be very careful when cutting. So our collar is almost ready, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So after cutting it, you can see it's out already. This is it. And don't forget, you're going to cut 2 of these. So the other one will serve as line. You're going to add BFF to it. That is the paper stay to 1. So I like using paper stay. I don't like using collar, so that it will not be too stiff. So I'm going to go over again and cut this out. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to cut another piece. It have to be, the 2 have to be cut too. So you have to be 2. One for one, the other one will serve as the lining for it. And if you want to use another fabric, you can. So now I'm folding my sleeve into 4 again. So I'm trying to cut out the 2 sleeves at the same time. So the length I'll be using is 10 inches for my sleeve, you can see. So there are 8 together. I'm trying to cut the 2 sleeves at the same time. So your armhole will determine the length you're going to use, but I'll be using 10 as my sleeve length. So I'm trying to mark out the 10 here. I'm marking it out, the 10 inches. So make a straight line. Then make a curve. You can see I'm trying to make a curve on the sleeve. So make a curve on the sleeve, then you join it. Measure your round sleeve. So where the 10 is, so I'll be using 8, then I'll mark it like that. So the next thing is to cut, and after cutting I'll attach it to my shirt dress I'm making. So our sleeve is ready. So I'm trying to cut it out here. So our sleeve is ready, and that is it. So we are having sleeve at the same time. And don't forget, I will have to go in by 1/2 inch for the front. I'll go in by 1/2 inch for the front. That is it. And I'll also use my chalk to indicate where the front is, so that when you're attaching the sleeve to the main clothes, so you won't have to make a mistake. So I've attached a paper stay to the collar. So this is the first one, the second one. So, and if I will have to turn it out, you're going to take your scissors to turn it out to bring out the sharp edges. Then you iron. I'm trying to bring out the sharp edges, then you iron. So that's what I'm trying to do. You iron it out, and this is how you're going to place your collar if you want to sew. Look at the way I'm placing it. But firstly, just try to indicate your midpoint. So the first one and the second, just indicate the midpoint. So they have to be on the same place. So yes, so you place it indicate your midpoint and place. Then you sew. You can see you sew. I'm using my hand to demonstrate. You sew round like that. So you leave it there. Then you flip it in. Then you iron. So, and that is all for the sleeve here. So this is our dress. So I thought about adding a front pocket to it. So this is the sleeve. I'm cutting it out. You can see I'm cutting it out. So that was our guide on folding our button allowance, and this is our sleeve. So what is left is to fix the collar. So I'll go up by 2 inches to make the down hem, that is to make it curvy. So I'll go up by 2 inches. You can see I'm using my armhole to curve that side. So if we can go up by 2, 3, 4 inches depending on how curvy you want it to be, or how revealing you expose revealing you want it to be. So it all depends on you. So I went up by 2 inches. So I'll be trimming that out. So you can see I folded the two together, the two side, then I trimmed it out. There one less is just to fold the hem in, just aim the down part of it, and that is it. So I want to add a front pocket to it, and this is the front pocket I want to add to it. As you can see the length is 10 inches. So that will be, I'll be using that to tape it, so it will also serve as a design. So you can see, so just how to go about it. So I've done this like that. So you do the second one like that, and you place it at your front, the dress you're making. I don't have it in mind to do it before, but as I was doing, I was like, okay, let me just style this dress. So you can see you fold it that way, you fold the two edges too. So if you want to place it from your shoulder, you measure where your waist is. If your waist is 15, if your waist is 14, if your waist is, just place it starting from where your waist. Our dress is ready here. You can see how beautiful it is. Putting my hand in the pocket. This is the back view of it. So the front is fine.